All right, our third technique, and probably my most favorite, is unusual viewpoint. Now, this one, I mean, guess what? You already know how to do this. This was literally the first thing that we learned in photography, angle of view. Unusual viewpoint is so simple, you guys. It's anything other than eye level. So if we look at this picture, what angle do you see? And I love this photograph. It totally freaks me out. Right now, I suppose not in a great way, considering we're in a pandemic called COVID. And when I look at this man opening up this, I don't know what that is. It's like a vial. What's inside of it? Is it a virus? I don't know. Is it an antivirus? But it's creating this tension, and it's just this unusual viewpoint, because how often are you underneath the hands of somebody standing above you? Not often, right? So this is an unusual viewpoint, and again, it's creating tension. With this one, just remember those different angles and avoid eye level, and you'll be good to go. So let's look at some more examples here. And try and be creative, right? This one, notice how we're above eye level, sort of looking down and at an angle, but notice the way the line of, this is an old like IV bottle, you know, IVs, you know, when people have to get medicine through a needle, or when blood is drawn, you right? And they stick a needle in you. But an IVs used to, the fluid used to come from glass bottles. Could you imagine that? Now they're in plastic bags, but this is such an old photograph. It reminds me of like MASH, which is a TV show that none of you know. I'm really showing my age. It's a show my parents used to like. Great show. But when you look at the lines and the way it's running off the page here, but again, we're above her eye level. So that's an unusual angle, totally an unusual viewpoint. All right, so now we could have a little bit of fun with some forced perspective here. How could this photograph be taken? What is that he is laying on? You really got to look at this a little bit. If you said escalator, like think in a mall, that's an escalator going down the stairs. And the photographer, how must they have positioned themselves to get this shot? I have no idea. I found this and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And it looks like, because his arm is like up like this, like he's flying up in the air, you know, like Superman. I was about to say Spider-Man. He goes from building to building, but Superman, right? I see him flying, soaring through the air, maybe coming up the escalator. But just a really interesting, unnatural view here. Okay, this one, totally fun, forced perspective. When we play with, notice this one, the shoes are in the foreground, so they look super, super big. So like, look at my hand here. And this camera, it'll eventually focus on my hand, or maybe it won't. Okay, now look how big my hand is in comparison to my face. My hand looks like super, super big, but realistically, my hand and my face are like the same size. But when I bring my hand out here closer to you, it looks so much bigger. So you can have a ton of fun here with forced perspective. Just play with it and see what you could do. Those are fun shots. Angle of view, like a worm's eye view looking up. I love this shot. I think it's so beautiful. The wheat or whatever that is coming out of the basket. I just think that's such a beautiful shot. And notice how the arms are framing the subject's face. Really a cool shot there. Oops. Okay, this super cool. To be able to have your subject be that far above you, directly over you, this is like extreme worm's eye view. So with these unusual viewpoints, see just how unusual you can get. I saw this YouTube video of a guy who would put a cat over him, and he would lay underneath like a glass table, and he would have the cat licking like peanut butter off the table so he could photograph the cat. It's like underbelly, and just these really cool shots. We'll look those up so you guys can see those, but really, really interesting. What could you do to get like extreme worm's eye views? Play with angle here, you know, like how could a person, like this isn't natural, this isn't real. How would the photographer have to lay to make this shot work? I mean, it looks as though they're standing upright, but you know they're not. They're in the water, but it's all an angle of view. If I flip my camera upside down, what's going to happen here? So play with angles here. Get creative. Have fun.